Welcome to Growing Together. This channel is about more than self-improvement. It's about creating space to breathe, to reflect, and to live with more honesty and freedom. Let me ask you something. Have you ever ended a day feeling completely drained? Not because of what you did, but because of who you had to pretend to be. The confident professional in the meeting, the funny friend at lunch, the patient partner at home. Masks that look perfect on the outside, but leave you exhausted on the inside. That hidden exhaustion has a name. I call it the authenticity gap. It's the distance between who we really are and who we think the world expects us to be. And when that gap grows too wide, the cost is steep. Stress, anxiety, disconnection from ourselves and from others. But here's the good news. It doesn't have to stay that way. In this video, inspired by the work of Brené Brown and other voices in psychology, I want to show you how to recognize the gap, understand its roots, and most importantly, how to begin closing it. Because when you do, something changes. Life feels lighter, relationships get richer, and every step you take feels more like you. So stay with me. Over the next 20 minutes, we'll walk this path together. And by the end, you might just see yourself and your life with fresh eyes. To close the gap, we must first understand why we created it. The mask of our public persona isn't born from vanity. It's forged in the fires of fear and self-preservation. There are three primary architects of our authenticity gap. First, and most powerful, is the fear of judgment. From a very young age, we are social creatures wired for belonging. Rejection in our evolutionary past was a death sentence. That ancient fear still runs deep within our neural pathways. We learn, through subtle cues, which parts of us are acceptable and which are not. The child who was told to stop being so sensitive, the teenager whose quirky passion is met with ridicule, the employee whose honest feedback is met with a cold silence. Each of these moments is a lesson. The lesson is, parts of you are not welcome here. And so we learn to hide those parts. We tuck away our sensitivity, our unique interests, our dissenting opinions. We create a more streamlined, socially acceptable version of ourselves. The mask isn't a lie, not really. It's an edited version of the truth. It's a survival strategy designed to secure our place in the tribe. The fear isn't that people will hate the mask. The fear is that they will hate what's underneath it. The second architect is the tyranny of perfectionism. Perfectionism is often misunderstood as a noble pursuit of excellence. But for most, it's a shield. It's the belief that if we can just live, work, and appear perfectly, we can avoid the pain of blame, judgment, and shame. The perfectionist mantra is, if I am perfect, I cannot be hurt. This creates a massive authenticity gap. You might spend hours agonizing over a single email to make it sound effortlessly intelligent. You might avoid starting a new hobby because you fear the awkward, messy phase of being a beginner. You present a flawless, finished product to the world while hiding the struggle, the doubt, and the effort it took to get there. This isn't the pursuit of being your best self. It's the pursuit of being an invulnerable self. And since being human is an inherently messy and imperfect experience, the perfectionist is forced to live in a constant state of performance, forever hiding the beautifully flawed reality of their own humanity. The third architect is the pervasive whisper of the imposter syndrome. Imposter syndrome is the persistent internal feeling that you are a fraud, that you haven't earned your accomplishments, and that you are on the verge of being exposed as a fake. It's the voice that says, "You don't belong here. You just got lucky." When you feel like an imposter, the authenticity gap becomes your primary defense mechanism. You believe your true self, with all its doubts, gaps in knowledge, and insecurities, is not qualified for the role you're in. So you create a persona that is. You project an image of total confidence and competence. You avoid asking questions for fear of revealing your supposed ignorance. You work twice as hard as anyone else, not for success, but to prevent being found out. Living with imposter syndrome is like being an actor who never gets to leave the stage. The performance is all-consuming because you believe the moment you break character, the moment you reveal your true, uncertain self, the entire show will come crashing down. Fear of judgment, perfectionism, and imposter syndrome. These three forces, born from our deepest need for safety and belonging, are the master builders of the gap between who we are and who we pretend to be. Recognizing them is the first, most crucial step in learning how to dismantle their creation. Maintaining this gap, this performance, feels like the safe option, but the safety is an illusion. The long-term cost of inauthenticity is far greater than the short-term risk of being seen. The first, most immediate cost is a state of chronic, low-grade exhaustion we can call performance fatigue. Imagine your brain is a computer. Every conscious act of self-monitoring, am I saying the right thing? How do I look? What do they think of me? Is a program running in the background. When you are operating from a place of authenticity, most of these programs are closed. You just are. But when you are maintaining a persona, dozens of these self-monitoring programs are running simultaneously. You are constantly calculating, editing, and managing. This consumes an immense amount of cognitive and emotional energy. It's why you can come home from a day of seemingly pleasant social interactions and feel utterly drained. You weren't just interacting, you were performing. And every performance has an energy cost. This is the exhaustion that sleep can't fix. The second cost is a subtle but persistent rise in anxiety. The authenticity gap creates a fundamental insecurity. You live with the constant low-level fear of being found out. What if the mask slips? What if they see the real you and don't like what they find? This creates a state of hypervigilance. You are always on guard, scanning for threats to your constructed identity. This isn't just stressful, it's the very definition of anxiety, a state of apprehension about a future threat. The threat in this case is exposure. The more you perform, the more you have to lose, and the higher your baseline anxiety becomes. You are no longer living your life, you are managing a secret. The third, and perhaps most tragic cost, is the erosion of genuine connection. We create our personas to facilitate connection, to make people like us. But the irony is that no one can truly connect with a mask. Genuine human connection is built on vulnerability. It happens when we see the real, imperfect person and feel seen in return.
When you present a flawless, curated version of yourself, you may earn admiration, respect, or envy, but you will rarely experience true belonging. People connect with your humanity, not your perfection. By hiding your struggles, your doubts, and your quirks, you are robbing others of the chance to connect with the real you, and you are robbing yourself of the profound, healing experience of being known and loved for who you truly are, not for the person you pretend to be. The gap you created to protect yourself has become a prison, isolating you in plain sight. This is the true cost of the authenticity gap: a tired mind, an anxious heart, and a lonely soul.
Understanding the origin and the cost of the gap is illuminating, but it's not enough. We need a way across. Closing the authenticity gap isn't about a dramatic, tear down the walls revolution. It's a quiet, deliberate process of building a bridge, one plank at a time. Here are 4 practical strategies to guide you. Strategy 1. Conduct an authenticity audit. You cannot close a gap you cannot see. The first step is gentle, non-judgmental observation. For 1 week, become a curious scientist of your own life. Identify your performance zones. Notice the situations or people that trigger your persona. Is it in meetings at work, on first dates, with a particular family member? Just notice. Listen for your internal editor. Pay attention to the moments when you have a thought or feeling, but you actively choose to say or do something else. What was the original impulse? What was the edited version? Track your energy. At the end of each day, reflect on which interactions left you feeling energized and which left you feeling drained. Often, the draining ones are those where your authenticity gap was widest. The goal here is not to change anything yet. It is simply to gather data, to see the map of your own masks with clarity and compassion. Strategy 2. Practice microdoses of vulnerability. The opposite of performance is vulnerability, but you don't have to start by sharing your deepest secrets. The key is to start small, with what researcher Brené Brown calls sharing your weather report. If someone asks, "How are you?" instead of the automatic, "Fine, thanks," try a slightly more honest, yet still safe answer. "I'm a little tired today, but hanging in there." Or, "I'm actually feeling really great. I had a very productive morning." In a meeting, if you don't understand something, try saying, "Could you clarify that for me? I'm not sure I'm following." This is a microdose of vulnerability that signals competence, not weakness. Share a small, imperfect detail about your life. Mention a hobby you're bad at but enjoy. Talk about a movie you didn't get. These are low-stakes acts of authenticity. They are small, safe experiments that teach your nervous system that it is okay to be real. Each time you do it, and the world doesn't end, you are laying another plank on your bridge. Strategy 3. Define your core values. It's hard to be authentic if you're not clear on what authentic means to you. Your core values are your internal compass. When your actions align with your values, you feel authentic. When they don't, you feel the strain of the gap. Take 15 minutes. Write down a list of words that represent what is most important to you. Words like creativity, security, growth, compassion, justice, freedom, community. Circle your top 3 to 5. These are your non-negotiables. Now, use these values as a filter for your decisions. If creativity is a core value, but your job involves zero creative work, the gap will feel huge. Maybe it's time to find a creative hobby or look for ways to innovate in your current role.
When if freedom is a core value, but you are in a micromanaged environment, the friction will be immense. When you are faced with a choice, ask yourself, which option is more aligned with my core values? This question moves the focus from what will people think to what is true for me. It is your compass for closing the gap. Strategy 4. Curate your inner circle. Not everyone has earned the right to hear your story. Not every space is a safe space for your most authentic self. A crucial part of this journey is to become a discerning curator of your social world. Identify the people in your life who make you feel more like yourself, the ones you feel energized after seeing, the friends who have seen you at your worst and haven't flinched. These are your safe containers. Intentionally invest more of your time and energy in these relationships. These are the spaces where you can practice being your full self without fear. Their acceptance will give you the courage to be more authentic in less safe environments. Simultaneously, notice the relationships that consistently demand a performance and leave you drained. You may need to lovingly create distance or set boundaries in these areas. Closing the authenticity gap isn't just about changing yourself, it's about choosing the environments that allow you to be yourself.
Closing the authenticity gap is not a destination you arrive at one day. It is a continuous, lifelong practice. It's the practice of choosing courage over comfort, of choosing what is true over what is easy. But the rewards of this practice are immeasurable. When you begin to close the gap, something remarkable happens. The energy you once spent on performance management is liberated. This newfound energy can be poured into your passions, your relationships, your work. The chronic exhaustion begins to lift, replaced by a sense of vitality. The anxiety of being found out starts to fade, replaced by a quiet confidence that comes from standing on solid ground. You are no longer afraid of the light because you have nothing to hide. And most beautifully, the superficial admiration you once received is slowly replaced by genuine connection. You start to attract people who are drawn to your real, imperfect, and relatable humanity. You begin to build a life where you feel not just seen, but known. Living authentically is not about being perfect or liked by everyone. It's about having the courage to be yourself even when you're afraid. It's about the profound relief of finally putting down the mask and realizing that the real you was worthy of love and belonging all along. So my invitation to you today is this. Take one small step. Conduct your audit. Share a microdose of vulnerability. Identify one core value. Send a message to a friend who makes you feel like yourself. Choose one small act of authenticity today. Because the journey across the canyon begins with a single, brave step. What is one mask you wear? And what is one small step you could take this week to honor the person underneath it? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Let's make this a space for authentic conversation. If this journey resonated with you, subscribe and join our community. We're here to explore the ideas that help us live more conscious, connected, and authentic lives. Thank you for sharing your time. Now go and be a little more you.